Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Hello, great to be here. Thank you, Dan. This is amazing to have a chance to have all of these discussions with amazing people. Name is Iulian, and I am headquartered in Montreal, Canada. I do travel quite a bit lately over the last 2.5 years, but if we're going to have time, we can get into that and I can tell you about all the excitements of travel and then eventually how it gets to get you very, very tired. But yes, so headquartered in Montreal, and I'm mainly dealing with business process optimizations and CRMs and systems. So
awesome. Yeah. So I'm just curious more about your background. Like, what did you do before? How did you kind of like get into the space in the first place?
I do have an icebreaker that I think some people might have heard, which is I wrote my first line of code when I was 7 and on a computer that my dad built. So he was the engineer, he built it. I'm not sure if people remember or even got to experience when you were loading the software on audio cassettes. So that's one of the things that I was doing when I was 7 years old. So I loaded basics, I wrote my first line of code there, and it kind of stuck with me, even though I went to do a lot of economics and a lot of finance and things like that. I always was into systems and into computers and optimizing processes. So I think that's where it stems from overall. But there was another transformation that got me to where we are today. Me being an introvert, I always consider myself an introvert. 2010, I think, and I just started on Salesforce and CRM and cloud a few years before that. And I started telling them about it. And I don't know why I blurbed out and basically said, let me show you. So I did, and I continued doing so for a few months. And then in one of the conversations with my manager, with my boss, one of the partners at the company, actually, he said, oh, it's so hard to find great resources. And that's the second part that I blurbed out. And I said, well, I have a few people that I'm showing things around. Do you want to try them out? And they said, sure. And that's when things changed because I kept going with the training and it stemmed into becoming a founder, I guess, right? So that was very, very interesting. A few hundred students later, we basically banded together about, I think, 80 of us. And from there, just things snowballed organically. I was always doing things that I liked, right? So I was always doing this technical architecture thing. So I wasn't just the founder or the business developer. No, I always considered myself a trainer and a mentor for many, many years, even to this day. But as I was helping the team to become more autonomous, I had to learn a lot of things from talking to people, networking, finance, invoicing, everything a founder does, I suppose. So I was lucky that way. That's what I think got me here. And that's also how we were introduced, actually. So you get to meet a lot of very cool people, right? So you get to do a lot of cool things as well as you go.
Awesome. So I'm just curious if you can talk about kind of how you work with your clients, like, kind of what you do for them. Maybe like mention a case study, like not even mentioning a specific company name per se, but it's kind of like how you help somebody.
Sure. So one of the mottos maybe that we've used is that we bring enterprise grade delivery to any size client. And there's a reason for it. And I think everything, in my mind, everything connects over time, right? So connecting the dots looking backward is easy. And I think that's what happens to me. I'll start with the training part. In 2016, I believe, we had a few people that we helped onboard into technology and cloud systems. And they came from the nonprofit space. They were working in nonprofits before, and now they wanted to switch to technology. So we trained them and they became Salesforce professionals. And then after about a year, they said, hey, there's actually a nonprofit cloud. Can we try and do that? And we said, well, we're here to learn and teach and geek out. So why not? You do that. And they, over time, they became their own department. Why am I saying that is because that's how we grew in a lot of directions and a lot of verticals over time. And one of the clients, because you talked about a use case and how we can help, is actually in the nonprofit space. And they came to us and they said, we're using Salesforce for 2 years now, and it's not really working for us. The business doesn't trust, the user don't trust it. Can you help us fix it? I have a little joke that I like to say about it, about my answer. In short, it was no. Yes, we can fix it, but we're not going to. And that's because there's a big chance that it's not because of the technology, right? The probability that there's a process problem is a lot higher. So what we did actually is we talked to them to make sure that, and I think they understood already, that their processes needed to be reviewed, their business flows, and we mapped everything out. We worked with the client intensively. They were amazing, by the way. All of the people in all the departments we talked to understood very well what we needed to do and what they're trying to achieve. And that also helped us gain some so-called champions within the organization that wanted to actually move things forward. And after we mapped all the processes, we started working on the actual implementation. Usually after you do that, you save a lot of time. The client sees a lot of value even up front from week 1, week 2. So I guess how we work with clients, to try and summarize it, we really try to become their partners long term. We try to bring value. We're not the type of people that would just come in, do a project and get out, right? So we're trying to create those relationships with the organizations that we serve so that they're long term, and we try to also train them and kind of train the trainer and just bring that value overall, you know?
For sure. And I guess in terms of like those organizations, like you mentioned nonprofits, any other verticals or kind of like, industry, company size, like what are you kind of looking for where you can kind of come in and give the most value?
I would like to say that, and I know it's broad, anyone who really has any type of business process can benefit from an optimization. And I'm an advocate of that, whether it's, Salesforce or not. I think as a base, any company needs those processes, those business processes to be defined and then optimized and then to automate. And especially now in the era of AI, I'm not sure we have enough of a time to get into that topic, but there's a lot of capacity to optimize and to streamline and to become so effective, right? And people need to understand,